At 55, Jennifer Aniston stands not as a figure of mystery finally revealed, but as a woman reclaiming the narrative that the world has tried to write for her for decades. For years, headlines questioned her choices, her relationships, her independence, her life while conforming to expectations shaped by fame and public scrutiny. But what she admits is not a shocking secret. It is something far more powerful. It is a quiet truth that fulfillment does not follow a single path, that happiness is not defined by marriage headlines or the approval of others. From her rise in Friends to becoming one of Hollywood's most enduring stars, Aniston has lived under constant observation, yet remained remarkably grounded. And now, with clarity and confidence, she reflects a message many long suspected but rarely heard spoken so openly, that peace comes from self-acceptance. Strength comes from standing alone when necessary, and the life you choose for yourself will always matter more than the one others expect you to live. AT 55. Jennifer Aniston stands in a place few truly understand, a place shaped not only by fame and success, but by years of constant attention, speculation, and expectation. For decades, her life has been watched, discussed, and often misunderstood. From her early days on Friends, where she became a global icon almost overnight, to her continued presence in Hollywood, Aniston has remained one of the most recognized faces in the world. But behind that recognition lies a story far deeper than what headlines have suggested. For years, the public created its own version of her life. Questions followed her everywhere about love, marriage, motherhood, and what it meant for a woman to live a complete life. Her relationships were analyzed, her choices were debated, and her silence was often turned into speculation. People believed they understood her story. They believed they knew what was missing. But time has a way of changing perspective. As the years passed, Jennifer Aniston did not respond with anger or denial. Instead, she continued forward, working, growing, and quietly shaping her own identity beyond the roles she played on screen. She built a career that extended far beyond one iconic character, proving again and again that she was more than what the world first saw. And yet, the narrative surrounding her never fully disappeared. Now, at 55, the idea that she has finally admitted what we all suspected says more about the audience than it does about her. Because the truth is not a hidden confession. It is a realization. A realization that the life she has lived was never incomplete. It was simply different from what people expected. She has spoken about independence, about self-acceptance, and about the pressure placed on women to follow a certain path. These are not shocking statements, but they carry weight because of who she is and what she represents. In an industry that often defines success through relationships and personal milestones, she has quietly redefined what fulfillment can look like. Her journey is not one of denial, but of clarity. She has acknowledged the challenges, the public scrutiny, and the misunderstandings, but she has also shown that none of those things define her. Instead, she defines herself. And that, perhaps, is the most powerful message of all. Throughout her career, she has continued to evolve. From comedy to drama, from television to film, she has proven her ability to adapt and grow. But beyond her professional achievements, there is something even more significant. Her ability to remain true to herself in a world that constantly tries to shape her into something else. What people suspected was never a secret waiting to be revealed. It was a truth that was always there, hidden beneath layers of public expectation. The truth that happiness does not have one definition. That success is not measured by traditional standards alone. That a person's worth is not determined by what they have or have not done in their personal life. As she speaks more openly now, her words carry a sense of calm confidence. There is no need to prove anything, no need to correct every misconception. Instead, there is acceptance of her life, her choices, and the path she has taken. Her story also reflects something much larger. It reflects the way society views women, especially in the public eye. The constant pressure to meet expectations, to fit into a certain image, to follow a specific timeline. Jennifer Aniston's journey challenges those ideas, not through confrontation, but through example. She shows that it is possible to live a full, meaningful life without following the script that others expect. She shows that strength can be quiet, that confidence can be steady, and that happiness can exist without validation from the outside world. In the end, the headline may promise a dramatic revelation, but the real story is something far more powerful. It is a story of a woman who has spent years being defined by others, only to quietly take that definition back. It is a story of growth, resilience, and understanding. And as the years continue, one thing becomes clear. Jennifer Aniston has not finally admitted something the world suspected. She has simply reached a point where she no longer needs to explain herself at all, because sometimes the strongest statement is not a confession, but the confidence to live your truth without one at AT55. Jennifer Aniston shows a simple but powerful truth. Her life was never missing anything. For many years, people watched her closely, especially after her success in Friends. They talked about her relationships, her personal life, and what they thought she should do next. Many believed they understood her story, but in reality, they only saw a small part as time passed. She continued to work, grow, and stay focused on her own path. She did not try to follow what others expected. Instead, she chose what felt right for her. Now, when she speaks, it is not a shocking confession. It is a calm and honest message. The happiness does not come from meeting other people's expectations. Her journey shows that life can be meaningful in different ways. She found success in her career, built a strong identity, and stayed true to herself despite constant attention. That is not something everyone can do. The idea that she finally admitted something is not really true. What she shares now is something simple. She is comfortable with her life. She accepts her choices, and she does not feel the need to explain them anymore. In the end, her story is easy to understand. It is about being yourself, even when people expect something different. It is about choosing your own path and being at peace with it. And that is what makes Jennifer Aniston's story strong. Not because of secret, but because of its honesty. As time goes on, the story of Jennifer Aniston becomes even easier to understand. It is not about a big secret or a dramatic reveal. It is about a life lived step by step with patience and confidence. After her success in Friends, people continue to follow her closely, always expecting something more, some big moment, some major announcement. But that moment never came because it was never needed. Instead, she focused on her work and her personal growth. She kept moving forward, taking on new roles and new challenges. She did not rush to prove anything to anyone. This is what makes her story different. While others try to define her life, she quietly defined it for herself. Over time, people began to see that her life was not incomplete. It was simply her own. She showed that success is not only about relationships or meeting expectations. It is also about being comfortable with who you are and where you stand. Now, when she speaks, her words feel calm and clear. There is no pressure, no need to convince anyone. She simply shares her truth, that she is happy with her choices and proud of the life she has built. This message may sound simple, but it carries deep meaning. Her story reminds us that not everything needs to be dramatic to be powerful. Sometimes, the strongest message is the quiet one, the message that says you can live your life your own way and still find happiness. And that is why the story of Jennifer Aniston continues to inspire, not because of what people expected, but because of what she chose to be. Strong, independent, and true to herself. As the story continues, the journey of Jennifer Aniston becomes even more clear and meaningful. It is not about proving people wrong or revealing something hidden. It is about living with confidence and accepting life as it is. After her time on Friends, she could have followed the path others expected, but she chose something different. She chose her own direction. Over the years, she faced constant questions from the public. People want to know about her personal life, her relationships, and her future. But instead of letting those questions control her, she stayed focused on what truly mattered to her. She continued to work, to grow, and to build a life that felt right for her. What makes her story powerful is how simple it is. She did not make big announcements or dramatic statements. She just kept moving forward, quietly showing that happiness does not depend on what others think. Her actions spoke louder than any words. Now, when people look back, they start to understand her story in a different way. It is not about something she finally admitted. It is about something she has shown all along, that being true to yourself is enough, that you don't need to follow a fixed path to live a complete life. Her journey also teaches an important lesson. Life does not always go the way people expect, and that is okay. What matters is how you handle it. Jennifer Aniston chose to stay strong, stay focused, and stay honest with herself In the end, her story is not complicated. It is simple, real, and relatable. It reminds us that happiness comes from within, not from outside approval. And that is why the story of Jennifer Aniston continues to connect with people everywhere. Not because of secret, but because of its truth. As time continues to pass, the message behind Jennifer Aniston's journey becomes even more simple and clear. It is not about what people expected from her. It is about what she chose for herself. After becoming a global star through Friends, she lived under constant attention. Every decision she made was discussed, and every part of her life was questioned. But instead of trying to match those expectations, she stayed steady. She focused on her career, her growth, and her own happiness. She did not rush to prove anything. She did not try to fit into a perfect image. She simply moved forward in her own way. This is what makes her story strong. It shows that success is not just about what others see. It is about how you feel about your own life. Over time, people began to realize that she was not missing anything. She was building something different, something personal. Now, when she speaks, her message feels calm and honest. She is not trying to surprise anyone. She is just sharing a simple truth, that she is comfortable with her life as it is, that she does not need to follow a fixed path to be happy. Her journey reminds us that we don't have to live according to other people's expectations. We can take our own time, make our own choices, and still find meaning and success. Sometimes, the best path is the one we choose ourselves. And that is why the story of Jennifer Aniston continues to matter. Not because of the big confession, but because of a simple idea that being true to yourself is enough, and that alone can make a life complete. As the story gently moves forward, the journey of Jennifer Aniston feels even more real and easy to understand. It is not a story filled with surprises. It is a story built on steady choices. After her rise in Friends, she became one of the most watched celebrities in the world. People followed her life closely, always expecting something big, something dramatic. But instead of giving them that, she stayed consistent. She worked hard, stayed focused, and lived her life in a simple and balanced way. She did not try to change herself to fit public expectations. She remained the same, even when the world around her kept changing. Over time, this became her true strength. While others were chasing attention, she stayed grounded. While others were trying to prove something, she stayed calm. This quiet confidence is what makes her story powerful. Now, when people hear that she has finally admitted something, they begin to see that it is not really a confession. It is just a clear and honest reflection. She is simply saying that she is happy with her life, just as it is, that she does not feel incomplete and never did. Her story teaches an important lesson. Life does not have to follow a strict plan to be meaningful. Success does not look the same for everyone. What matters most is being comfortable with your own journey. And in the end, that is what makes the story of Jennifer Aniston so strong. It is not about drama or secrets. It is about honesty, balance, and a quiet confidence to live life on your own terms. As the journey continues, the story of Jennifer Aniston becomes even more peaceful and clear. It shows that not every life needs big moments or dramatic changes to be meaningful. After her success in Friends, she stayed in the public eye for many years. People kept watching, waiting, and expecting something new or surprising. But what they saw instead was consistency. She continued to work, take on new roles, and grow as a person. She did not rush into decisions just to satisfy public expectations. She stayed patient and focused on what truly mattered to her. This quiet approach slowly changed how people saw her. Instead of looking for something missing, they began to see something strong. They saw a woman who was comfortable with her choices and confident in her path. Now, when her story is told, it feels simple and honest. There is no hidden message or shocking truth. It is just about a person who chose to live life in her own way. Someone who did not let outside pressure control her decisions. Her journey reminds us that we all have the right to choose our own path. We do not have to follow what others expect. We can take our time, make our own decisions, and still build a meaningful life. And that is why the story of Jennifer Aniston continues to connect with people. Not because of a big reveal, but because of a simple truth, that being yourself, staying calm, and trusting your own journey is enough. As the story reaches even deeper understanding, the journey of Jennifer Aniston feels more complete than ever. It is not a story about change. It is a story about staying true. After the global success of Friends, she entered a world where every step was watched and every decision was judged. People expected her life to follow a certain path, but she chose something much simpler. She chose to move at her own pace. She chose to focus on her work, her peace, and her personal growth. She did not allow outside pressure to rush her or define her. And over time, that quiet strength became her identity. Years passed, and instead of dramatic headlines, her story became steady and consistent. She kept building her career, staying grounded, and showing that success is not always loud. Sometimes it is calm and balanced. Now, when people talk about her finally admitting something, it becomes clear that nothing was ever hidden. She is simply expressing what has always been true, that she is satisfied with her life just the way it is, that she does not need to meet every expectation to feel complete. Her journey teaches something important. It shows that life is not a race, and there is no single way to live it. Everyone has their own path, their own timing, and their own definition of happiness. And that is what makes the story of Jennifer Aniston so meaningful. It is not about a secret or surprise. It is about a steady life, lived with confidence, honesty, and peace. As the reflection continues, the story of Jennifer Aniston becomes even more grounded in simplicity. It is not about a sudden revelation or a hidden truth finally exposed. It is about a long journey of understanding oneself while living under constant public attention. After her rise in Friends, she became a familiar name everywhere, and with that fame came endless opinions about how she should live her life. But over time, she learned to separate her own voice from the noise around her. Instead of reacting to every assumption, she chose calmness. Instead of trying to satisfy expectations, she chose balance. That decision shaped the rest of her life in a quiet but powerful way. Her story is not filled with dramatic turning points. It is filled with steady progress, working, growing, and staying true to herself. That is what makes it real. Not everything has to be loud to be meaningful. When people say she has finally admitted what we all suspected, it becomes clear that the phrase is more about public imagination than reality. There was never a hidden secret waiting to come out. There was only a person living her life in her own way, often misunderstood because she did not follow the path others expected. What stands out most is her consistency. Through changing trends, shifting opinions, and constant media attention, she remained steady. She did not let outside pressure change who she was. That kind of strength is quiet, but it is very powerful. In the end, the story of Jennifer Aniston is not about what people thought was missing. It is about what was always there, a full life, lived with patience, independence, and self-respect. And that is what makes her journey continue to inspire people everywhere. As the story continues to unfold, the life of Jennifer Aniston becomes even more steady, simple, and clear. There is no hidden twist behind her journey. No dramatic secret waiting to be exposed. After becoming a worldwide star through Friends, she entered a life where attention never stopped. People watched her every move and formed opinions about what her life should look like. But she did not live according to those expectations. Instead, she built a life based on her own understanding of happiness. She focused on her work, her personal peace, and the things that mattered to her most. She did not rush to meet public pressure or explain herself at every turn. Over time, this approach became her strength. While many celebrities are constantly surrounded by drama and controversy, she remained calm and consistent. That stability made her story stand out even more. When people say she has finally admitted what we all suspected, it sounds dramatic, but the reality is much simpler. There was